Hey everyone, welcome. Welcome to Elemental Cartomancy. Welcome to the Mariel Study Group. How are we all doing? Are we having a good week? Are we hanging in there despite all the storms? We've had Dudley, Eunice, Franklin now as well, and is there other ones? I lose count. But I hope everybody's doing okay. I can see I've got Deanne, Donna, and Orla here so far. It's a quiet group so far. Hope everybody's doing okay. Um, if you're here, then send us a wee message and say hey if you want. We're here to talk about the threes today. By the usual format as always. What I'll say is last month worked really, really well because we weren't using made up sample questions. Hey, Marvin. We managed to get actual questions from people in the chat, so we got real questions to read for real people. And you guys just why have I got a wee Wi-Fi thing? Connection is fairly good. If you're on Wi-Fi, oh, it's gone now. Right, well, I kinda on. I'm on a like a. I'm wired into an extender. Hmm. We'll just keep an eye on that. You guys can let me know um, how I am if I'm lagging or if if the quality's shit or anything like that. Then please do kind of a shout out and let me know, and I'll try and see it. Um, a couple more people in now. So let's see. Or Marvin's come in. Hi Marvin. Donna Thompson's here. Hi Donna. I almost kind of glanced over because we've got two Donnas. But we've got Donna Riedler and Donna Thompson. We've got Marvin. We've got lovely Orla, and we've got our very lovely Deanne from Blue Crescent Tarot and Baby Wiz. Um, just back from my bus journey from the from the US. Uh, that was an inside joke, but basically I had a stupid dream where I was getting a bus from Deanne's house back to my house, and it was only going to take about half an hour apparently. Um, and I was like, I need to hurry up because I've got work in an hour. So yeah, apparently from the US there must have been a big bridge across the Atlantic Ocean in my dream, and it only took my bus half an hour to drive that bridge. So not bad. Buses are coming along, aren't they? Um, Deanne says I just got your 30-minute notification a minute ago. The 30-minute one, right? That's weird. Did I definitely set it? Well, I did because it comes up and tells me like you've got a minute to go, it's showtime and all that kind of thing. I did set it for 9, didn't I? I can't really tell. Anyway, hi Sabrina, how you doing? Might be the first time that you've been here, so if it is, then it's lovely to see you. Very lovely to meet you and nice to have you here. Hilary, hi Hilary, how you doing? We've got Pamela. Pamela says first time to the study group. Oh well, welcome Pamela. How lovely to have you here. And what a lovely picture that is. I am, let's see, no lag, you look and sound good. Oh, thanks. Thank you, Deanne. Orshi's here. Hey, Orshi, how you doing? I take it you'll be heading to bed soon, Orshi. Let's see. Yeah, transatlantic bus. That's it. Um, Oops. Donna got the reminder at the proper time. Right. Okay. Tarot Diva Ellie. Hi, Ellie. How you doing? If I'm missing anyone out, then apologies. I do like to kind of go down and say hi to everyone that's here before we kick off. Um, as I was saying, I'll say it again because there's a wee bit more people here now. Um, we're going to follow the same format as always. We're going to go through the slides and then we're going to put some questions to the cards and see the cards in action, basically. I'm a great believer in a good balance of kind of when you're learning something new, a good balance of like theory and information and stuff with practice and putting it into practice. Um, so in terms of questions, I thought that last month, and I've noticed in the Zoom meetings as well, that it's working really well when we're reading for actual questions for people. So when people have actual questions that they put to the cards that obviously that are in keeping with the themes of the cards. So we're looking at the threes this month. Let me just show you them. We're looking at the threes. So get thinking about questions because I mean, like, it might be questions that are based on what you already know of the threes, what you already understand of maybe one of the cards. Maybe there's one of these cards that links in with a question you want to ask, or maybe as we're going through, a question will come to you. So if it does, then remember it, write it down somewhere or something, and then when it comes to we come to do the second part, we'll get your questions in. Okay. Okay, so we were on Ellie. I'm just going to see if anyone else has popped in before we start. Donna, Pamela, Marsha, Pamela. Amy says hello, all first time viewer from Wisconsin. Well, hi Amy, it is lovely to have you here. Thank you very much for joining us. Right, shall we kick off? What time are we on? Oh, we're on 7 minutes past. We'll kick off. So let me share my right screen. And I'll take the comment. Hashtag remove the comment, eh? Um, so we don't really need to worry about this first bit. In fact, I should probably just change this slide, shouldn't I? But basically, obviously the for Zoom bit doesn't matter. It's the first and second bullet points that I like to kind of emphasize each time. So I do want this to be somewhere where everyone feels like they can learn, and that they bring value to the table. Um, if anyone has any health conditions or maybe just a different learning style, a different learning ability, such that there's something that I could do that could make this better for you. It could be something as simple as sending you a copy of the slides, whatever. If there is something that I can do, then please let me know. Oh, hey, Justin, just seen you popped in there. Young Christopher and everyone. Justin Michael, everyone, is the birthday boy today. And today, Justin Michael Parker turns 40. So everyone take a moment to sing happy birthday to Justin. I'm not going to sing. You'll all be delighted to hear that. But happy birthday, Justin. I hope that you are having an amazing day, and I hope that Stephen is spoiling you. Okay. So I always like to, when we've been going through the minors, I like to kind of kick it off with talking about the elements and some numerology because I think it's helpful. Um, so I've taken this from the Landscapes of the Abyss, as you can see from page 187. So Marie White describes fire as being about energy and movement, passion, desire, spirituality, the divine purpose of your life, career, goals, superconscious, having to do with the soul. Okay, so these are the kind of themes we're looking at when we're going through the wands. Now, air, swords, we're looking at knowledge, thoughts, ideas, logic, communication, words, free will, and consciousness, and having to do with the mind. For water or cups, we're looking at feelings and emotions, intuition, love, relationships, the subconscious, and having to do with the heart. And finally, earth, discs, we are looking at body and health, money, work, your home, family, comfort, the real mundane world, harmonizing of the other three elements, and having to do with the body and the physical environment. Okay. Oh, bye, Orshi. Okay, so I always these the this to here is the same as what it always is, but she doesn't set out a particular numerology system, but it's helpful to look at the majors that correspond to each number. So here we're going to be looking at 3 for the Empress, and this is just the from the second edition guidebook. This is just the kind of a keyword interpretation. So the Empress is about abundance, fertility, fecundity, motherhood, life, growth, expansion, diversity, the gifts that you bring to the world, and productivity. Okay. And then we don't just have 3, we've got 13 as well, which is death. So this is death, end, transformation, transition, release, closure, end of a relationship, of a situation, of an era, of a cycle. Nip it in the bud. So you can see we're kind of got this like on what at one end of the scale, you know, we've got creation with the Empress, we've got growth and creation and all that kind of thing. At the other end of the scale, we've got, endings, we've got death. And then in between that, we've got like kind of your expansion, your growth, and the opposite, your waning, your kind of a dwindling, that kind of a thing. So these are the kind of themes that we're looking at with the threes. And then as we split it out between the suits, um, these are, this is what we're the areas that we're going to be looking at. So let's start then. Let's start with the Three of Wands. All right, the crossing trees. So I didn't really notice this at first for a very long time. But we've got two upside down trees here. You can kind of see the leaves and stuff, the greenery of them down at the bottom, and then obviously these are the roots. So we've got the two crossing trees, the two outer wands. These two trees represent the two pillars of opposites. So thinking of Boaz and Yakin, from the two pillars at Solomon's temple, the ones we see in the high priestess. This is a representation of those things. And importantly here, we see them crossing, all right? So we see those opposites combining or exchanging, there's like some sort of exchange of information, okay? Now, what happens? Well, sorry. So we've got the two hands now. Again, another thing that I didn't realize. In fact, I didn't realize the two. I didn't see the two hands until I was putting these slides together. Until I made the card really big. It just escaped my notice before. So the two hands are coming together to represent something similar to the two trees. So notice that they've got elemental symbols on them. So they've got. So you can look at it as fire, the upwards triangle, and water, the downwards triangle, or sometimes the upwards triangle is the symbol for male. It's a rudimentary phallus, and the downwards triangle is a symbol for female, which I think is meant to represent the womb. Um, so again, same kind of theme, the bringing together of opposites. Okay. Now, the six-pointed star is pretty much the same thing. You've got the combination of the upwards triangle and the downwards triangle. Um, Now the snake, this is the result. This is what happens. The result of bringing together those opposite energies. So we see the Kundalini energy represented by the snake, and that's been generated from the union of opposites. It builds and moves upwards. Okay, so we've got the reconciliation of the two pillars of mercy and severity, which creates that third pillar of mildness or harmony. All right, the grey pillar in the middle of the tree of life. We see this massive eye at the top of the card, and that's supposed to represent the eye of God. Okay, so that's a symbol of you can look at it as God's plan for us if you believe in one God. If not, then you might think of it as the superconscious. So like kind of a the kind of our higher selves, our divine purpose, that kind of a thing. And you see, as the two wands are crossed, the snake moves up and towards this eye. So the snake is moving towards the superconscious, towards higher purpose. All right. So we're reconciling opposites. There's this exchange. There's this kind of a bringing together of two opposites to make some new third entity that neither one of the opposites alone could have made. And through doing that, it creates this path towards our higher plan or higher self, you know. So that is the Three of Wands. Um, I'm going to stop there and have a wee fangirl moment because I've just seen Marie White has popped into the chat. So welcome, Marie. For anyone who, I can't imagine anyone who's here doesn't know who Marie is. But when you see this wee MW in all my notes, that is Marie White. Marie White is the creator or creatrix, if you prefer, of this amazing deck that we're all looking at. I'm glad that the camera is actually on my screen and not on me because my face has just went bright red. So, Marie, welcome. Thank you very much for popping in. You've made my year, and I hope you're doing okay. Okay, so those are the symbols that we see in the card. That's the breakdown of the symbols. Now, if anyone's got any thoughts, anything they want to add, then please pop it in the chat. What I'll do is I'll go on to the next slide. And yeah, I'll catch up on the comments after we've done. So, putting everything together, so bringing all the symbolism together, we've got this union and this combination or this interaction between opposites. We're creating this path towards our higher purpose. Two energies coming together to make a third unique energy. We've got this kind of a expansion, this build up of energy, of growth. Okay, so what might that mean if it comes up in a reading? So in the two, we explored the idea of the opposites. All right, we learned about this kind of a spectrum that the opposites create, this space in between, and we kind of like carved our unique path through those two trees. All right. Now we see the kind of the burst of energy that happens when we take that step. All right. So when the querent steps through for the first time, when they actually take action on their divine path, then we're seeing what's happening. We're seeing this kind of this burst of energy. The potential energy from the two then becomes kinetic energy, if you will. Okay. So we see the purpose of taking such a step or such a risk in the eye of God. So the eye at the top is kind of that reassurance that the actions that you're taking, the actions that your querent is taking, are moving them in a positive direction. Okay. Um, so this is kind of from my point of view. I see the wands and the fire suit as being about working towards the things that give our lives purpose and meaning. All right, your fire suit, your wand suit. Generally, you're going to be looking at things such as your career, or such as these big things that we do in life. If you climb Mount Everest, it's the kind of things that you're going to tell your grandkids when you're old. Um, and yeah, so yeah, uh, these are things that ignite our passions and enthusiasm. And for me, it indicates that it's time for action. Whenever I pull the Three of Wands personally, it's always telling me just stop thinking about it and just do it, get it done, that kind of thing. And I think this is illustrated, brilliantly with the snake, with the Kundalini. Okay, right. Let's take a wee moment. And let's have a wee look and see what people are saying. So Justin appreciates all the birthday messages. Um, let's see. So Marie herself has said, I've come to see the minors as the manifestation of the majors with the same number. Yeah, yeah. So I agree. So it's kind of like taking the majors and splitting it into four pieces, doing a bit of a William Wallace with it. Scottish reference. Anyone? No, but you're kind of taking it and splitting it down and examining it, through the lens of that particular element. So the threes would be like the Empress manifesting, starting with this card. If she's given birth to everything, this is like conception. Um, then moves through the other cards and finally to birth in the Three of Discs. Yeah, cool. Um, and Amber, I can see that Amber's popped in as well. So hi, Amber. Let's see, you could see that I like an egg, and the snake has been like the sperm. So this is that moment of fertilization, of conception. Yeah, you could. Really cool. Amazing. Okay. Right, everyone, let me know what you think. Keep your comments coming. We shall move on to the Three of Swords, and I've got quite a lot on the Three of Swords. Just fair warning, heads up, because there's two cards and because they're, it's such an interesting card. Um, right, let's go back to the right screen. So starting off with the first edition Three of Swords. All right. Um, So we've got the poem that's at the start. So not everyone will have. So the Three of Swords entry is not the same in the first edition guidebook as what it is in the second edition guidebook. But the poem that Marie quotes from at the start is from The Lamb by William Blake, from the Songs of Innocence, and it's the Lamb is the counter, the kind of a opposite poem or the counteracting poem to the Tiger, um, Songs of Experience, which is what we saw and what we talked about when we were talking about temperance. So in this poem, the lamb, kind of like the dove in this image, is a symbol of Christ, a symbol of gentleness, of peace, of innocence, and love. In the poem, the speaker wonders about who made the lamb. It's kind of the same with the tiger, okay? And then the speaker answers in the second stanza. So that, yeah, I've said there, it's this the counterpart to the tiger, which is from Songs of Experience. So when we look at them, when you look at the two poems together, Blake is basically exploring the nature of God, both the kind of a gentle, loving, light side, if you put it that way, and the fierce and the powerful dark side as well. Um, the clouds. Oh, hey Beth, how you doing? The clouds in the background. So, what's really interesting about these? I don't know if anyone's seen or Harry Potter. I was saying this during the Zoom. The the cloud here almost looks like the when they cast the Mors Mordra spell. You know how the Death Eaters, when they commit murder, they cast the Mors Mordra spell up into the sky, and it makes the clouds form this skull with the snake coming out as the tongue. So you're almost getting that feeling from this cloud here. But what I've noted is that there's light and dark sides to the clouds, so you kind of get that double-edged sword type feel, um, which is well, I suppose the truth is a bit of a double-edged sword. So we've got the dove, which is carrying the swords. The dove being a symbol of purity, of love, innocence. It's carrying the three swords down from heaven to earth. The swords are often seen as bringers of pain and sadness. Marie described in the book as arrows of God's or arrows of the sun's light. So I've said here, of course, both can be true. The light, the truth, knowledge, and awareness can actually be a sad and a painful thing. And there's reference to Scorpio as well. So kind of it takes us back to the ace where we were thinking about that ego as being like exalted Scorpio. So the dove, there's mention of the dove becoming the ego, not ego, eagle, which is man exalted, and Scorpio risen. Okay, so it brings back to the theme of transformation that we looked at with the ace, and still in the early stages of this journey. All right, so we're still the dove, we're still at the three, there's still work to be done type thing. Alrighty. So there's a couple of other just observations that I've made about this card. So we can kind of see the swords as being a point of separation, being a barrier between us and the dove. Yeah. So we were saying the dove is like it's a symbol of God. It's a symbol of divinity, of the divine within us. Spiritual enlightenment, and the swords is like the intellect and the ego. It's our need to define and separate things. So what I'm talking about there, and I've said this before, um, like the intellect. What I mean when I say that it's kind of it limits our experience. So if you're walking down the street, I always use the tree as the example. When you're walking down the street, you see a tree and you think tree. Because we've named it, we've defined it. You think tree, and then you move on. You might not necessarily think of the beauty of that tree, the greatness. It's probably 100 years old. It takes in carbon dioxide and it gives out oxygen. All of these things, so we're limiting our experience. Now there's a point to that. We can't spend 5 hours thinking about thinking every time we see a tree. So there is a point, but it's like, I suppose it's not so much killing the ego. It's kind of a just taming it. It's bringing it under control and using it to our advantage. But the the point that I'm making is here, the ego can act as a barrier between like us and the divine and our spiritual enlightenment. In that way, it limits our experience. Okay, and then the other thing that I'd added, um, so swords, we could quite easily. I know that they're not piercing the dove, but we could see this as being some sort of attack on the dove, right? So if we see the dove as being like a symbol of peace, and peace is the key word for the two of swords and the Golden Dawn system, the swords attacking that peace is kind of what we see in the Marseille. If you think about the curved swords of the two of swords is these curved swords, and it represents peace, or it represents this stalemate. And then the three, that third sword, the three of swords, is that awkward clash that just needs to happen, but it's quite often a painful experience. So you could see that this has been kind of like that, where you see the swords attacking the peace and the calm, and of the dove. So those are just a couple of other things that I had kind of noted about this card. Now that brings us on to the second edition Three of Swords, the Solabusca one. Okay, the Solabusca inspired one. So we have the heart, and Maria said in the guidebook that she identifies the heart as the heart of the Empress. Okay, a heart which expresses love in its most pure and unconditional form. We have the three swords piercing the Empress's heart, which represent the sorrow and the pain that kind of comes hand in hand with such unconditional love. Okay, so there's a lot here about the how love and pain and they come together, they come as a set. We kind of see that theme as well with the rose. Okay, so the rose with its thorns are a symbol of beauty and pain and how the two are interlinked. All right, and the Anne Bronte quote at the beginning. Let me see if I can quickly get it. So the quote is, but he that dares not grasp the thorn should never crave the rose." So we're kind of got that point there, as well. So the message in both pairings, we've got the heart and the sword, and we've got the rose and the thorn, is that without putting yourself out there, without risking pain and loss, we can never really have that experience of beauty and joy of love. So the two are interlinked, and we don't really get one without the other. And conversely, Marie says in the book, it's not just thinking about how the intellect, what effect the intellect has on the emotions, on the heart, but also the other way about as well. She says that, I think you said, she says the heart tempers the swords. Okay, so kind of in the way that the rose gives the thorns purpose. The whole point of the thorn is to protect the rose, right? So the rose is giving the thorn purpose. In that same way, in that same vein, the heart, our emotional selves, they give our intellectual self purpose. They kind of drag us down to earth, and kind of give us a reason to keep it keeps us in the real world. I think our emotions keeps our intellect in the real world, and our intellect stops us from being from getting all emotional about things. There's a balance between the two. Okay. Right. Now I've got one more. Well, no, I've got two more. I tell a lie. Now I've made a wee story of the two. I've kind of joined the two. Now, it's funny that Marie's here because I've said at the start of this I'm not sure if this was Marie's intention, because I know that you obviously intended to change from one to the other, Marie. But I've said here a lot. It perhaps wasn't Marie's intention. We can kind of think about putting the two images together. We can make a story of it. So the dove, the messenger of the divine, the symbol of the innocent and peace. So that's kind of a bringing the swords down. All right. Now, swords is the truth, it's knowledge and it's understanding. The dove is bringing the swords down from the skies, which is, the spiritual realm or the heavenly realm, to the physical realm, which is the earth. All right. And then placing them into the heart of the Empress. Okay. And this kind of in I think it's the first, the first edition guidebook. It says the agent that wounded your heart was a divine gift to begin with. So there's this idea that comes with the Three of Swords as well. Like quite often, it can be a painful experience, but we learn something from it. We grow from it in the end. So it can be like a blessing in disguise. Um, so yeah, I thought that was quite cool. And finally, let me just grab everything together and then I'll look back at your comments. So the coming together of the intellectual self and the emotional self and how this can be a painful but beautiful experience at the same time. It can lead to pain and loss, but also to growth and progress. What at first seems bad can turn out to be a blessing. And then we have that inseparable and symbiotic nature of beauty and pain and love and suffering. And then finally, in a reading, so I have said there's a lot that's in these two cards, and it's quite difficult to generalize, to summarize it in a way where we're not kind of a taken away. But well, obviously, I'm going to try my best. Um, so the threes are about growth and action, and the swords are about understanding. Okay, knowledge, understanding, free will, that kind of a thing. So the querent will probably be expanding their knowledge and their understanding of something when this card comes up in some way. Now, the kind of a solabusca, the heart and the three swords, that imagery is quite emotive. It suggests that what they're learning, is going to be a painful experience, a painful truth. Um, I suppose that's where the expression "the truth hurts" comes from. Um, we could also see it, as kind of said above. So we've got the coming together of the head and the heart. So we've got the intellectual self and we've got the emotional self, and it's that kind of a battle between the two as they kind of reach I suppose, an equilibrium, a middle point, and they agree on the issue. So it could be showing a time where the querent's emotions are clouding their judgment, or maybe where they're overthinking things and be too harsh on themselves. That way when you kind of get up in your head and you start to beat yourself down, you start to tell yourself you're not good enough, all that kind of a thing. And it has this negative effect on your emotional self. Um, the first edition has a similar feel, but we can see it more like maybe like the Tarot de Marseille, where instead of the third sword coming and shattering, apart the stalemate of the two, we've got the three swords attacking the peaceful innocence of the dove. So maybe what that would be suggesting is that the querent has to just get it done. There's something that they've been dreading and putting off, and this card maybe shows that it's time to bite the bullet and get the thing done that they've been putting off. It's time to just embrace that clash. Alrighty, get my ugly face back on the screen for a couple of minutes and let me see what you guys are saying. Okay, Justin's saying once again, thanks to everyone for the birthday wishes. Probably going to get a review later for embarrassing me. Um, Hillary agrees about seeing, the majors and the minors and stuff. Yeah. Um, let's see. Aspasia says I'm going to be quiet and absorb Blake. I didn't even read out the poem, did I? Sorry. Let's see. Marie says I forgot. Was that something about the first edition one? Um, I really love this image. It's one of my most favourite Three of Swords. So Donna, is that the first edition, sorry, or was that the second edition? Marie says the dove can be that same symbol. The same as the heart, I take it. Um, Hilary says, I've always thought about the Three of Swords as being about mental health. I think it's definitely, it covers that theme, especially when you look at it as like the intellect versus the emotions. I think that's mental. That's exactly what we're looking at when we're talking about mental health. Orla says, I absolutely love this Three of Swords. It says to me that no matter how we've been hurt, our hearts can overcome our mind or our ego, and we can still find a way to let love blossom. Yeah, I agree. I think that's pretty cool. I mean, he says that makes sense. Um, Mental health is an interesting filter to view this card through, definitely. Divine will into your heart. Yeah. Um, Justin, thinking about the Three of Swords yesterday, the numerology just clicked for me whilst reading in the Plain Marseille book. They qualify three as growth, but because it's swords, it's more cuts. Yeah, so the Plain Marseille really reads into it's the spades, isn't it? The three of spades. And the spades is like the bad suit, it's the negative suit, so it's the growth of something bad. Yeah, like you say, more cuts. Um, let's see. Oh, sorry, not Hillary. Donna, speaking to Hillary, says, I recently described the Three of Swords as mental anguish, but to me, the dove looks so unperturbed and seems to have the situation well in hand. Yeah. See, I quite like that because I like to be able to see the Three of Swords as growth of knowledge, growth of the intellect, expanding your knowledge on something. I'm very like kind of a numerological in how I read. Um, I don't always see it as like heartbreak and that kind of a thing. I suppose I've kind of said it there, haven't I? Like at the end of the day, you're learning something new, and yeah, the thing that you're learning could be painful. It could be, that God forbid, like someone's having an affair or something like that. That could be the tough truth, the painful truth. But equally, that like there's lots of other things that we could be learning that we could be expanding our mind about. So I do like when we get something like that where you can kind of read it different ways. And he says, I didn't realize anyone even liked that card until I changed it. That's just like the thing, isn't it? Probably nobody even thought about it until you changed that. Um, let's see. So Donna, you're talking about the second edition, yeah. Yeah, Shauna's saying, wow, Marie came. So Shauna's one of our there's a few of us that kind of get together on Zoom, and we do it the Thursday before um on the Sunday before the last Thursday of the month, which is when we do the YouTube. And Shauna comes along to the Zoom, don't you, Shauna? So yeah, let's see, Hillary. Yeah, Donna, exactly right. I'm veering towards the Dove card as a preference, though the Heart one is glorious. It's very plain card type meaning, yes, but even seeing the sword as truth, the truth often cuts. Yeah. Um, the alternate Three of Swords on the Tarot of the Abyss also gives a different feel makes me think of taking a test. Yeah, I know what you mean, and that is that alternate one that I've got in my Tarot of the Abyss. The one with the the books and the learning. I love it. Okie dokie, brilliant. Keep the comments coming, and let's move on to our lovely three waterfalls. Okay, I'm going to take a wee drink actually. Okay, so again, there's a quote from Blake. I need to look it up and read it out. So the quote at the beginning of the books, for anyone that doesn't have it in front of them, so it's, I must create a system or be enslaved by another man's. I will not reason and compare. My business is to create. Um, if you look up, if you look that quote up, you'll find uh, paintings that Blake's done that appear to me to depict this idea of this enslaved man, this enslaved person who, rather than discovering, finding, and following their own true path, they've, they've kind of tagged on to what someone else is doing. That they've not found their own true purpose, their own heart's purpose. They've kind of just been led by someone else or become enslaved by someone. They're just doing what they're told, that kind of a thing. And those paintings are really cool, so that definitely something to Google. Um, so each person needs to discover and follow their own path and their own heart. If they try and be someone else or allow themselves to be subservient to someone else's destiny, then they'll not feel truly fulfilled. So the waterfalls. So we've got a similar point being made with the three waterfalls. Marie says in the book, the most powerful thing a person can do is to find who they really are and follow their own path to reach their own potential. And then there's the fable of the raven who basically saw a swan and he thought he knew why the swans were white. I think he thought, oh, the swans are white because they bathe in such and such a waters. So the raven wanted to become one. So the raven then bathed in these waters every day. That was basically what the raven did. And um, it, eventually the raven died. And he died being a slave to someone else's destiny. The raven died trying to be something that it wasn't. Um, and as a result, it lived its life just bathing in these waters to no avail. So that's kind of the same idea as like Blake's enslaved man, if you will. Um, let's see. So we've got the tree. So we see so we've got the water falling from from the lake above. It's fallen below. Let me read because I'm mincing my words up here. The water falls to the earth below and nourishes the tree, which grows back up into the source. Okay, so water is a symbol of the heart and soul, the unconscious, that kind of a eternal part of ourselves. So our physical bodies, you know, with respect to what everyone believes, people believe different things about this. Okay, but physical bodies, on the whole, we believe that they are physically created and physically destroyed. All right, with the life and death cycle that we look at with the three, the three being the Empress, creation, and the 13 being death, ending. Our physical bodies are created and destroyed with that cycle, but the unconscious, like I say, is that eternal part of ourselves. So I think it's really like stunning how we see this kind of a cyclic movement of energy. We see the energy coming down with the waterfall, growing back up with the kind of the tree, and kind of back towards the source. Okay, so we see that energy starting at the same source as the water at the top. It falls in three parallel waterfalls, um, and then to the same source at the bottom, and then moving back up through the unique twisting and turning branches of the tree. And this makes me think of this was just something that it brought to mind for me. So that idea of, soul connection. So we talk about like our soulmate. Some of us talk about our soul deck, if that's something you subscribe to. Um, a soul connection, just to generalize it, a soul connection. Um, it's this kind of unexplainable feeling where you feel like you know someone from a previous life or something like that. Or like if you're talking about a soul deck, it's the deck that just feels right in your hands. It just feels like an extension of yourself. That's how people tend who have a soul deck tend to describe it. Um, connected beyond words, connected beyond the here and now. And we kind of see that. So if we think of the three waterfalls as being our three dancers, as in from like your Smith-Waite type deck, a traditional deck, um, we can see them beginning as one at the source, and we can't see it, but we can imagine them kind of wherever that water is falling to, it's fallen to the same place. So that's kind of a splitting apart. We see that soul connection thing like illustrated really nicely, I think. I hope I was making sense there. I feel like I was rambling a bit, but so internally, um, we've got a depiction of discovering and following your own path, your heart's your heart, following your heart, finding your destiny. Externally, so we talked a bit about this in the Zoom. I think in the Mariel deck, we have a lot of the you've got to bear in mind the as above, so below. We really see this in the two of cups as well. We see the kind of the two horses, or the heart. But that it's a metaphor for what, the more general, the more mundane kind of a type situation. So externally, the journey of the soul, or the soul, or souls, more than one soul's energy from source, their fall to earth and back to source. So this idea of soulmates and soul connections, which is more in line with what we see in like the Smith-Waite depiction. So all in all, we've got discovery or creation and following your own destiny, and the formation and building of connections along the way, just to kind of put it all together. Okay, and in a reading, so whilst this does have a different look to maybe more traditional Three of Cups depictions, it does, well, in my opinion, it carries the same sentiment. We've got the three waterfalls equivalent to the three dancers. All right, so the querent is going to be around people, around other souls with whom they feel a strong connection. Okay, so this is a beautiful depiction in that we see a representation of the whole of that connection's journey, and not just the kind of them having a party. It kind of it broadens the meaning, and it just kind of broadens our view of what's happening. Um, the fact that it's been shown as a cycle that repeats, as opposed to just like, it gives this idea of a soul connection, one that repeats through lifetimes, rather than just, you're friends for a bit and then, it reaches an end. So now, if this comes up for your querent, then maybe now is the time for them to build those emotional connections with their family and their friends, spending time with them, spending energy with them, going out, having drinks, nights in together, drinking wine, laughing, crying, drinking more wine. Um, and Marie also brings another more kind of inward meaning, where we're looking at following our own, finding our own kind of a destiny. So it doesn't. So we don't necessarily see this with the traditional Three of Cups, but strengthening that connection with our own souls, and discovering our own destiny and path, and being true to ourselves by following it. Okay. Right, so that is our Three of Cups, our lovely three waterfalls. Let me just catch some of the comments we've been getting. Okay. So that was when I was talking about dogs. Justin the caught that. Three of Swords. Don't think so. Deanne says this all feels like a good omen, as Marielle is my deck to keep at hand during my maternity leave for my second deep dive into it, revisiting, which will begin any day now. It will. It will. I'm keeping my phone handy. I'm waiting for that wee ding of my Facebook Messenger to tell me the exciting news. Justin, I've been enjoying the William Blake tarot. I didn't know much about him, but he's really interesting. I can see his influence on Jung. Okay. Hey, Kristen, how you doing? Um, are you going to use one of the cards as a focal point during labour, or do women do that anymore? Says Beth. Marie says the Raven and the Swan. Perfect. Yeah, it's a beautiful story. So it is. Let's see. Not taking any cards with me, Beth. Last time was pretty quick. Didn't even have time for my husband to bring my hospital bag in. Fingers crossed you have another quick labour, Diane. And Beth says, lucky you, I could have listened to War and Peace on tape. Oh, Beth. Oh, dear. Um, and Shauna as well. Me too, Beth. Both kids were 2 weeks late and several days of labour. Oh, my. Um, you would get exhausted trying to swim against that current, but if you relinquish control and let the water take you, you will be carried over the falls to your destiny. That is beautiful, Donna. And I'm glad I'm making sense, Donna. Thank you. Um, Interesting that the hills in the background are so green, and there is clearly a lot of water, but the tree in the foreground is lifeless. I don't know if it's necessarily lifeless. I think it's definitely growing upwards. I think it's just the kind of the uniqueness is that word? Uniqueness of the tree that's being captured. You know, the different kind of winds and turns that it takes that makes the point that this is a unique path. That is how I understand it anyway. Um, Kristen says Diane's about pop. Uh, the William Blake Tarot is a fantastic deck. It's one of my favourites, says Marie. Um, Hillary says 3 for female friendships for me can be problematic. The 3 of waterfalls makes me think that there's fluidity and change in relationships. Okay. I was late finding Deanne's channel, so she's been pregnant the whole time I've known her, says Donna. um, Justin, Beth just got William Blake Tarot. Have you done a walkthrough or discussion of it? Not yet, but hopefully, says Justin. And then Marie says, I meant the bare tree as a part of the cycle of life. Yeah, amazing. Uh, right, okay. So we've got one card left. So shall we move on and then we can so remember you are thinking about questions that we're going to do. We're going to put to these cards. Questions that will fit in with the themes of the cards. So I hope so, at least a couple of you have got some questions for us that we can use. Let's see. Okay. The 3 of discs. I've just realised. So, Marie, when I was doing my research on this and when I was putting together these slides last week, I actually see the symbol on their hands, which I think I've learned is the Omega Cross. Um, I wasn't sure what that was, so I had put a post on some of the Facebook groups to try and find out. Um, and you're here, so I mean, if you can tell us whether it is the Amiga Cross or whether it was something different, then that'll answer that question definitively. So anyway, so creation. The three of discs embodies the physical life cycle. So it's about creation, growth, destruction of something physical. Okay, so we see this concept beautifully illustrated here as the birth of a baby. So Marie's describing this process as the parents taking the spark of life and covering it with layers of flesh and bone. Okay. And then we're seeing this kind of at these layers of flesh and bone. We see that symbolized here by the golden robes. And flesh and bone is symbolized by the wrapping of the baby and the same golden robes that are worn by the parents. And then goes on to talk about the importance of gold, the alchemical significance of it, the risk and the effort, the pain that's needed to obtain one little nugget of gold. But that little nugget shines with such intense beauty and symbolizes the energy of life and the sun, and it's a reflection of the soul. Okay. Now I'm looking here at the markings, the tattoos on the faces. So on the figure to the right, we have the sun and these kind of a straight lines, very kind of a geometric looking. Um, so typically, a more masculine symbol, the kind of the straight lines and the sun as well is I suppose a kind of a masculine symbol, isn't it? Whereas on the perhaps more feminine figure, we see these more swirling um, lines, um, spiraling, and these are typically used to depict the feminine. Okay, so I think, and I can be corrected if I'm wrong, but I think that there's talk of the male and female principles, all right, of creation. So like the mother and father in this case. So I think these are being used to kind of depict that idea. And the child, and again, this is another thing that takes us back to the ace, this time of discs. The child has the star. So the 5 point star is made up of straight lines, but it's cyclic in nature. So it kind of almost brings together those like the kind of the masculine and the feminine symbols, and it combines them in a way, kind of, and it also harkens back to Asterion, which is who we talked about in the Ace of Discs, Asterion within the labyrinth, um, and then the Omega Cross. So let me see. So Marie says, yeah, I meant that as an Amiga. So I was looking up, so we've got the Amiga and then the kind of a line underneath, and there's a symbol well, that symbol, when you look up Amiga Cross, that can be seen as a variation of that. And um, the Amiga Cross is a kind of it's in the same vein as the Alpha and Omega. It basically means the beginning and the end. So I'm not sure if that was the intention, but I thought it fitted in nicely with the idea of the threes being, linked to the Empress and death, creation and destruction, that kind of a thing. Okay, I can see that Robbie's popped in. Says it's nearly your bedtime, so don't be up late playing with cards. And then saying hi to everyone. Hope you're all enjoying the live, learning lots, and looking forward to your weekends. How are you doing, Robbie? By the way, I was speaking to Sandy earlier and asking if we were going to be seeing you at some point, but hope you're okay and having a good week and not working too hard. Okay, so physical creation of something that through your physical efforts. Okay, so discs is the suit of earth, so it's physical reality, yeah. So they're coming together in collaboration to create something which the creators alone, so neither one of them alone could have created it. It takes the two of them to create this third entity. And obviously, with new life is something that we see symbolized quite strongly here. So in a reading, in the threes, we explore the elemental manifestations of the Empress and perhaps death as well, of creation and destruction, beginning and ending, and of course the kind of a spectrum of growth and withering that happens in between them. So in the earth element, we see the querent creating something new. So this is likely to be something physical, something tangible, or something that has some sort of application in the physical, tangible, everyday, mundane world. Okay. So the querent may be required to come together with others. So this idea of collaboration in order to bring about this creation. Or maybe the collaboration is more internal, okay, where they need to kind of reconcile the different aspects of themselves in order to create this thing that they're trying to create. So it's going to be demanding of the querent's time and effort and energy, and they'll need to be devoted to making it work, not just in the actual creation of it, but intending to it, nurturing it through time and making something of it, accomplishing it. Okay, so that brings us to the end of the three of discs, and that brings me to the end of the slides. So let me bring myself back and let's have a look and catch up on the comments. I think it's time for a cup of tea as well, a sip of tea as well. I'm Blake Tano. Beth says, I'm having some disconnect with the suit, so I look forward to that. That's where Robbie popped in. On the other hand, it looks like one of the nodes sign. Ah, okay. And hi, Ange, by the way. Lovely to see you. The South node sign. Marie had said, I meant that as an Amiga. Yeah, that's right, with the Amiga cross, right? Cool. Okay. The star is potential individual. Okay. The middle pillar, the mother, the father, are sun and moon. Yeah, sun and moon, and then yeah, the star. Oh yeah, sun, moon, and star. Right enough. Um, makes me think of female and male sex organs. Yeah, did you say that in the uh, in one of the Facebook groups in response to the posts that I'd put on, Kristen? Was it you that had said that? Because I can see that. That makes sense. Marie agrees. The man has the south node sign on his hand, representing recognize and rework modes of action to ensure success in the direction of rightness and balance. Uh, Disc's Earth is the manifest Empress birth. Robbie is working just now, actually. Don't tell Sandy. You'll see me soon enough. Don't worry. Can't stay away from your amazing coffee and company. You shouldn't still be working. It's like 10:05 here. Um, I thought if you squeeze the Amiga together, you get an Ankh, the symbol of life, yeah. And procreation is how we achieve this. Again, Marie agrees. I also had in mind combining the Amiga and the Tau cross. Both Amiga and Tau being the end. Ah, okay, cool. And very much resembling male and female parts. Okay, amazing. Hi Kaz, how you doing? Came in halfway through. It's been excellent. We'll watch playback. Brilliant. Thank you very much. Would you guys explain to me numerologically ignorant how you get to 13 death from 3 Empress? I'm sure. So it's just because it's like 3. It's the 3, or 10 plus 3. So like the way I've been looking at it is because there's no defined numerological system, I've been kind of looking at like 1 in 11, so magician and strength for your aces. Just as a rough idea, in your high priestess and hanged man is that works really well when you're looking at your twos, I think, because it's like all about the power of an action. Um, and next month it'll be like Emperor 4 and Temperance 14. That's really all it is. I know that some people would kind of say death is more like 1 plus 3 is 4, so that's more linked to the Emperor. It just depends on how you look at it, really. Kristen, I think I said it looks like Omega and Iota. Yeah, that was what I thought as well. But he says the star is the middle pillar plus it's the ascendant human where you have been manifest, but then you become an individual who reaches their potential. That's the star, and this is the baby star. Amazing. Donna started her YouTube channel this week, and it's called Artists and Oracles. Well, I know that one of my amazing mods, if there's anyone here, Kristen, Deanne, if someone would be kind enough to find me a link to Donna's channel and post it in the chat, that would be brilliant. Let's see. He says, Hillary, I equated death with the Empress because death also ends with a three. Yeah, no, that's fine. That's cool. I think that life and death go together really well. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, the threes they're about creation, but they're about growth and stuff as well. And I think that when you're looking at that as a theme, you also need to look at the opposite as well. So that death and the opposite of growth, which is like waning or withering, that all kind of fits in with the threes for me. Let's see. Um, I can post a link of first video if Chris is okay with that. I don't think you'll be able to, Donna. I think you need to have like a blue spanner to post links, but I'm sure one of my amazing mods will post that. In fact, there we go. Kristen's posted it for us. Thank you, Kristen. Kaz says, Diane, hope your bag is packed and ready to go this time. Remembering from, was it last month for me, when Diane asked a question and where the Mary L basically told us that Diane had to pack her bag and get her baby bag ready. Um, okay, right. So it's on to the second part now. I'm going to have to set up my table camera actually. So what I'm going to do, give me 30 seconds. I will stick on the countdown timer and I will set up the I'll set up the table camera and I shall be back. So make yourself a wee cuppa. I will be back in precisely 30. Just in the nick of time. Right. Okay, so the idea of this next part, let me just get these slides off of my other screen, is we want to learn by putting it into practice as well. Let me get the comments back. I feel it's weird. I had to navigate away from the comments to make that countdown timer go. But it's weird how lonely you feel when you navigate away from the comments. There's no comments. It's just you staring at yourself. Anyway, we want to learn by putting that into practice as well. Yeah. So this next part, we're going to put some questions to the cards. So we are, and I'm going to kind of do. I always explain this, but I'm going to explain it again just for anyone who's not seen this before. So, I do it kind of a Lenormand way, like with a significator. All right. So we're going to try and come up with some questions that fit in with the themes of the cards that we've been looking at today. So if you've got a question that maybe you think fits in really nicely with like the Three of Swords, for example, then we can type it into the chat now. Do it either in capital letters or tag me at Elemental Cartomancy so that it kind of highlights to me in one way or another. And we'll use your question. Okay, so we'll try. It's not imperative, but we'll try and come up with one question for each card that we've been looking at, and we shall pull 3 cards for each question. So, who's got a question that they think would fit in with the themes we've been looking at today? And I'll get shuffling. I do this thing. I don't know if you have noticed that I do it. I think you have. I probably showed you, but I turn the significator cards around like that, right? So as that I can find them easily when it comes to looking for it, right? But the annoying thing is when you do that, when you've got 4 cards turned round in your deck, they tend to gravitate towards each other when you're shuffling. So they do. But anyway, that's for me to worry about. One other thing to think about, see if you're thinking about a question that fits in with the Three of Swords, let me know if there's a particular version of it that you want me to use. Right, let me see. So I can see that people are describing to Donna. Thanks very much, guys. And you keep reminding the anti-packer baby bag. I think it's packed now, isn't it? Shauna is busy rebacking my trimmed Mythic Tarot as I watch. Nice. Let's see. Okay. So who's got a question? Anyone got any questions? I can make up a sample question if we want to. But like I was saying at the start, it does work a lot better when we have a real question to read for than if we're just making questions up for some theoretical person. So if anyone has any questions that fit in with either the Three of Wands, Three of Swords, Three of Cups, or Three of Discs, then please pop it in the chat and we will pull cards for your question and we'll see what kind of advice we get. So Kristen says, I wasn't here for most of the cards, otherwise I would ask a question. I mean, if it's something that just, if you've got a question, Kristen, that fits in just with your understanding of one of the 3 cards, then feel free to post it. You are more than welcome to. In the meantime, my cards are getting a right good shuffle. What can I learn from the periodic stalking of / fixation on the Empress card? What can I learn from the periodic stalking of or fixation on the Empress card? No, I know. Would it work? I know exactly what you mean, Kristen. I'm trying to think which of our minor threes that would fit best with. The idea of stalking or being fixated on something, is that a Three of Swords issue? Maybe a bit of a Three of Cups issue as well, but then I feel as though Three of Swords is more looking at those maybe more explores the theme of imbalances just because of the the imagery, I guess. So what do we think? Do we think that Kristen's question fits in with the Three of Swords, maybe? Three of Pentacles, says Shauna. So Shauna thinks fits in with the Pentacles. Idea of being fixated on something. I think, do you know, see with we can almost see the dove as some sort of messenger in this. So I think Three of Swords might actually fit in nicely with it. And you know, um in this particular deck. So shall we do that then? Shall we use the Three of Swords as our significator to answer Kristen's question? What do we think? Donna says, yeah, maybe Three of Swords. Oh, turning other cards around as well now. Right, we'll go ahead and we'll use the Three of Swords. Okay. Right. So why is the Empress stalking Kristen? What message does it have for her? Ugh, we've had one of these situations where they clump together, but that's okay. We'll just assume that that was meant to be. So we've got the Three of Cups coming up. We've got the Three of Swords, and we've got our Knight of Swords. Okay. Okay, so let's have a wee think how we would read those cards together then. Let me know what you think in the comments, how you would interpret these cards together in answer to Kristen's question. So Kristen's question is, I should probably put it on the screen. What can I learn from the periodic stalking of or fixation on the Empress card? Okay. So so we look at the threes as being about, it's like doing the thing, it's the action, it's bringing it into physical being or bringing it into being, you know, creation. Um, and remember, the Empress carries that message as well. We can also see, so I don't know how you guys tend to read the courts, but the Knights for me are all about action. Um, Pages, learning, Knights, action. Um, so there's a lot of action here. It's like it feels like do it. Just it's as if there's something that you want to do, but you're holding back on. Now, I don't know if you're holding back because you feel as though it's not the right time, or maybe you're over planning. Maybe you're like, oh, I'm not ready yet. I need to plan against every possible eventuality. I need to kind of have a plan in place for everything that could possibly happen. You know, it might be that that's what you're doing, but I feel as though that, you know, look at all of this action. Think of the action that's happening in the Empress. I feel as though it's telling you, do you know what, you kind of need to just bite the bullet and go ahead. You're never going to be able to have everything perfect. You're never going to know you're never going to have a plan for every single situation that could possibly unfold. I think what the Empress, what the you know, it coming up for you and being fixated on it, maybe what it's telling you is, you know, now is the time to stop planning, stop the phase of inaction that we associate with the twos, and move on. You know, it's time to actually do something. Okay, whether it's to create or, you know, whether it's to say what needs to be said, create what needs to be created. You know, whatever it happens to be, Kristen. But that's how I would read this reading, and also I'm thinking about the Empress as well when I'm, you know, when I'm talking. Okay, so I'm interested in what you guys think as well. So if you've got a particular interpretation for this spread, then please pop it in the chat. So let's see. Donna says hop in a barrel and go over those falls. Yeah, so like, you've got this idea of kind of a going with the flow, stop trying to kind of swim back up the waterfall. It's time to just kind of let go, to release, and just let yourself be carried to where you need to be carried to. Um, and there's lots of, I mean, when you look at all of these cards, there's lots of movement, isn't there? Like the waterfall, that kinetic energy of the waterfall, the dove coming down from above. And remember, it's not just flying down itself, it's been weighted down by these three swords. And then you've obviously got our Knight of Swords, the fast moving, you know, hasty, some might say, Knight of Swords. So there's a lot of moving. Maybe that means something to you, Kristen, or maybe that's a metaphor for something. Um, let's see. I have to think on that. Thank you. Um, Donna, Donna wants me to break a hip. Oh, going down a waterfall in a barrel. Right, okay. So if you've got thoughts on these cards, then keep them coming. I'll move on to the next question, and we'll pull some cards for that. But I don't know. Do you think this is maybe talking about your particular creative projects that you've kind of had going on, Kristen? Um, like, could that be a message in relation to that? I'm not really sure where you are with all that stuff just now. But could it be a kind of it's time to stop overthinking things and kind of put it out there to get it done? Don't know. I'll let you decide. Donna says, moving water is a huge source of potential energy, which is how it's used to generate electricity. Yeah, that's right. Definitely a lot of movement, says Beth. Yeah. Oh, excuse me. Okay. It could definitely be, says Kristen. I'm waiting on my first proof of the deck. We'll be working on them again once I go through them. Maybe I'm being too much of a perfectionist. Yeah, see, that's what I was saying about, like, kind of you're never going to be able to foolproof. You're never going to be able to get it perfect for every single person. It's never going to tick every single box for everyone. Because we're all individual and we all have individual tastes. So where I was saying, you're not going to be able to plan against every single and every eventuality. Maybe what it could be saying to you is you're never going to be able to create this 100% perfect for 100% of the people that are going to peruse it. But there comes a time when you just need to say, right, fuck it, it's time. I'm putting it out there. Now is the right time, and I think that's maybe what your Empress is saying to you. It's time to think of the Empress card. She's literally carrying. Um, Let me get the Empress out actually. But she's carrying something from the woods, which is the spiritual realm, the spiritual world, into the sunlight. Into the physical world. It's literally creation is what's been depicted in this deck. So it's time to take that thing and create it. It's time to bring it from the heavenly realm or the spiritual realm into the physical realm. And I'm not going to be able to find it anytime soon because it's always the last one. There we go. Yeah, so she's carrying the baby from the the forest, which represents the spiritual realm, into out of the forest into the physical realm. So it's time to manifest. Right. Let's. Is that the way about? Yes, it is. Okie dokie. I hope that was helpful, Kristen. And yeah, good luck. I want to keep. Okay, let's move on to our next question, which I think was just underneath Kristen's. So if I can find Kristen's question. Yeah, the lovely Donna. How can I reduce my stress levels during the next few weeks with lots of activity and big changes? Okay, so there's a couple of things in there. We're obviously looking at stress levels, but we've also got this idea of lots of activity and big changes. So there's maybe a couple of ways we can look at this. I'm just thinking about what card to use as a significator. So Donna, what card are you thinking fits in with the theme of your question? Um, I mean, the activity and the big changes makes me think of the Three of Wands. But then, when we think about stress levels and reducing them, don't know, is that kind of Three of Swords, eh? Just because it's in that kind of a mental health realm. What do you think? Let me know what your thoughts are. Um, let's see. Well, I'll get shuffling. You let me know. Um, I'm thinking Three of Wands. To do with the activity and the changes, and we can think about, we can ask the question, how do we reduce stress levels during all of this activity and change and all of this energetic kind of a stuff that's going on in the Three of Wands? I feel like I'm going over the falls in a barrel, said Donna. I can come down to the bottom here. Let's see. Oh, we've got lots of comments on this that I've missed. Um, Thousand Pentacles. There was the hop in a barrel, go over the falls. Having a think on that. Breaking a hip. Okay, so that's right. The generating electricity could definitely be. I think we got there. Is it this night? Some people call the running with scissors card. So take it a bit carefully. Yeah, I suppose I can see that. Moving quite quickly with that sword. Um, the um, the Lightseers tarot has a really cool take on the Knight of Swords. In the Knight of Swords and the Lightseers, the knight actually doesn't have a sword; he has a crossbow, and that's kind of like symbolically important. It's like this guy is all about efficiency and innovating. Okay, so he swapped his sword for a crossbow because it's a more efficient and a better weapon. You know, faster moving as well. So that's I don't know, that's something maybe a wee bit different. Amber says, "What deck? Woohoo! Take one more look and then let it go," says Amber. Um, Fear of judgment, says Kristen. I think that most people are going to be really supportive. Um, the manifestation of your deck from the woods out of the sunlight, says Beth. People rip decks apart, says Kristen. Do, but I think that is the minority, isn't it? As much as sometimes it feels like maybe feels the other way about, I think it's still the minority. I think the majority of people are supportive, and well, if they're not going to be supportive of you, Kristen, then I'll fight them. How does that sound? Um, Donna's asking, is the owl physically carrying the night? I can't quite make it. Oh, sorry, I've shuffled it back in. I should, if it comes up again, then we'll hold it up and let you see it in more detail. Marie's asking if Kristen's making a deck. So Marie's advice, here's advice from someone who's made a deck. I wouldn't worry about the ripping apart. You have to put out what is true for you and let people judge it as they will. Kristen's saying, yeah, a Rune Oracle deck called the Star Rune Oracle. I feel like I'm going. Oh, right, okay. So that was the Three of Wands would be good because it is related to a new phase of life. Right, okay, cool. So Marie's advice to Kristen is people might be critical, but it's good to create things people talk about, even if it's negative. Um, it can be daunting. I've self-published a book, says Donna. Um, just keep showing up and chugging along. Okay. The cards that you showed are beautiful, Kristen. And I need a really good rune deck. Yeah, same here, Donna. I agree. Think of all the artists throughout time who were criticised or misunderstood for their art. Truth, beauty, freedom, love, baby, says Beth. Pamela says, don't resist the stress, let it be outside of you. Let the waterfall soothe you. Also, an interpretation of that card. Um, okay. Be the Infinity says there is an audience for every deck. Okay, so we're using the Three of Wands, right? And oh, sorry, I've navigated away for the question, haven't I? That was silly of me. Here we go. How can I reduce my stress levels during the next few weeks with lots of activity and big changes? How can Donna reduce our stress levels over the next few weeks with lots of activity and big changes? Okay. Okay, so here we go. We've got they're upside downified. Okay, so we have our Page of Swords. Let me move it to where you can see it. Page of Swords, our Three of Wands, and our Five of Wands. Right, okay. Okay. So let me hold these up so you can see the details. So we've got our our Page of Swords. Now, if I can ever just move through it, you can see the throat there. The throat chakra. Um, you see the heart as well. And we obviously see the dragon tattoo on this person. And the dragon tattoo, we see it in the King of Swords as well. Um, from what I remember from reading the book for the Page of Swords, the dragon tattoo is kind of a recognition for them that they're not just some jack of all trades, some random page. They're the Page of Swords. They've been recognized for their ability to, you know, speak their truth, use their voice, use their intellect. But being a page, it's all about learning. Okay, so I mean, suppose that might be the kind of a first pointer for you. How can I reduce my stress levels? Well, there's an idea of increasing your knowledge base, and maybe trying to work from a more informed place. Um, if we look at, sorry, I'll show it again, but if we look at the throat and the heart together, we see this kind of a, I don't know if it's like a black egg or a black hole, but we see like the opposites. So the way that I take that to mean in this kind of a particular setting, and this spread for this question, it could almost be like a kind of a like try and take some of the emotion out of the situation, um, and try and be more from a place of, you know, um, intellect, understanding, communication, that kind of a thing. Um, we also, we've got our three of wands, which represents the situation we're asking about. So we've got these kind of a changes happening. We've got this really kind of an energetic situation happening, right? And you see how, we've got the snake moving up. We also see the kundalini moving up towards towards the vision. We kind of, you can kind of like see that in the dragon tattoo as well. We see it kind of a curling its way along the page's body, which is pretty cool. So we almost see that kundalini maybe, or that kind of a energy moving up the page in the same way that we see happening the in the three of wands. And then we see the five of wands. Now, when you've got a question like that and the five of wands comes up, this maybe says a couple of things to me. It says we need to have realistic expectations, okay? You know that it's going to be a difficult time for you. There isn't some magic switch or magic wand that we can wave and make it just all sunshine and roses and unicorns with rainbows coming out their butts. That's probably not going to be reasonable and feasible. There is, and we kind of see the lion moving through this kind of this heavily wooded area. It's energized and it's using its energy to move through that difficult time. Okay. But we do see that its aura is kind of it's almost been murkied a bit. It's been affected by the outside stimulus that it's interacting with. So we need to expect that it's going to be a tough time, as you would expect. But for me, the advice here is to use your energy, build up that energy and use that energy in order to navigate through your obstacles. And also, there's no harm in learning more about the situation before you come to it. So try and be as informed as you can before you come to that situation. Um, and yeah, use that position um of knowledge, I guess. Okay, I think I've talked enough. Let me see what you guys think. Okay. So Marie was saying some people like to get attention by being critical of stuff. It doesn't mean anything. Yeah, yeah. There's constructive criticism, and then there's the kind of the other side of it, isn't there? These topics about the creation of decks and art in general, and all that goes with it, are what I will be discussing on my channel. Says Donna. Anyone interested, please be in touch with me. There you go. Yeah, usually people who cannot create themselves but would like to. It's like an angry poison that they send out, says Beth. Um, Such an important reminder to just ignore those who are overly critical of another's creations, says Donna. They're just jerks, says Marie. In a word. And yep, and part of our process as artists is to get to this point of knowing our own worth, says Donna. Yeah. Donna says thanks. Regina, the very lovely Regina, you saucy little minx. I can't think of um a better in line with our usual exchanges, Regina. But there you go. That'll have to do for now. How are you? You doing okay? You're here just working at the same time. Hilary says, I might say the page could encourage you not to overthink and trust the process as it will all happen anyway, and you're strong enough to push through. Yeah, and that's a good point to make about the lion. It is strong enough to push through. As much as we might see it as encountering difficulty, it is success. It's succeeding. It's getting through. Um, Donna says, I see that lion as plunging into unknown territory, which is certainly the case. So being aware of what I can in advance will be valuable. So that's the advice with the page. I will accept saucy little minx. I'm doing very well, Chris. Good. So I'm glad to hear it. I hope you're making pretty wiry things. Let's see. They make so much sense, Hilary. Thank you. Says that makes so much sense, Hilary. Thank you. Says Donna. So that's the page encouraging you not to overthink and trust the process as it will happen. You're strong enough to push through. There we go. If anyone's got any other thoughts on these three cards and what they might mean in answer to Donna's question, then please keep your thoughts coming. I will pop these cards, I'll shuffle them back into the deck for now. And I think I've got one more question. See, scrolling. So we had Donna, and then I think Orla had asked a question. So how can I get stagnant energy moving again around a career choice? Okay, so how can we boost that energy around career choice? I'm feeling the Three of Wands for that question as well, actually. Is there anything else? I don't really think the Three of Cups. Although with the waterfall crashing down, that's certainly going to boost stagnant energy. But what do you think, Orla? What do you think about a significator card for that? Which one of the threes do you think would be more appropriate? I'm thinking we could either go with Three of Wands or the Three of Cups. I don't know if discs. I don't know if I'm feeling the Three of Discs for that question so much. Three of Wands or Three of Cups. What do we think? So we've got our Three of Cups as well. So let me know what you think about Significator card. And everyone else, let me know what you think as well. Which do you think is more in line? It felt wandy to me, but happy to trust your judgment entirely. It does feel wandy just because we're talking about like we're talking about career, doesn't it? But as to what we want to do, we're wanting to give it that boost. We're wanting to get that energy moving, and we literally see the energy moving in this card round in the cycle. It's moving from this, kind of a state of rest, of calmness at the top, and it's been plunged down. And we see it transforming and then moving up with the tree. So I don't know. I'm feeling the Three of Cups. I don't know if I'm being swayed just because I know I've not done the Three of Cups yet. What does everyone else think? Three of Cups, that moving water, says Donna Thompson. Marie says Three of Cups. I think of it um, reversed being stagnant. The Three of Cups reversed being a stagnant energy. Right, okay. Um, okay. Okay. We'll go Three of Cups. let's pop you there. And we'll shuffle up. So the only one that we won't have asked a question for is the three of discs. Now, I'm happy to finish up after we do Orla's question, but if anyone else does have a wee question in mind and you think that it might suit the three of discs, or any of the threes really, but if you, in particular, if it suits the three of discs, then stick it in the chat for us. Or if anyone's asked a question and I've missed it, then my apologies, and please shout at me, highlight it to me. Blimmin'. Going to do a wee riffle shuffle. Okay, so how can we get stagnant energy moving again around a career choice? Right, let's see. What is there? Oh, it's happened again. There we go. Right, we got our three of discs. Okay. So we got our three of discs, three of cups, and our nine of swords. Okay, so this will be interesting because the nine of swords image in this is maybe quite different from what we usually perceive the nine of swords to be. So I'm interested in what everyone thinks about this. Okay, so let's just think. So three of discs, three of cups, and the nine of swords. Let me just hold that up for everyone to see in detail. So normally we associate the nine of swords as being about like kind of like nightmares, psychological anguish. Whereas here we see this almost as paradise, right? Now, there's a couple of ways we can look at that. A couple of ways that I tend to look at it. For me, the nine of swords, it's about, you've probably heard me say that before, it's about high energy in the mind and the brain, high mental energy, high psychological energy. Now, yeah, that can lead to things like anxiety, stress, depression, nightmares, all of these kind of are more negative things that we maybe think of when we see, for example, the Smith-Waite Nine of Swords or lots of other Nine of Swords. But if you can channel that intellectual energy in a positive way, it can be such a sharp and powerful tool that we can use to our advantage. When I pull cards for my day ahead, if I'm pulling cards in the morning, if I pull the Nine of Swords as as the theme of the day or something, then I know that it's either, it's, all in or out, it's either going to make it for me or it's going to break it for me. I know that there's going to be lots going on, lots, the neural pathways are going to be firing left, right, and center. It's my job to take that energy and try and channel that in a productive way rather than getting distracted and, um, just getting up in my head about things. I love that we see a really positive image here for the Nine of Swords, um, because, like I say, I think it can be a really positive thing. The alternative, and if anyone's seen Elle from Sacred Seeds chat about the miners and Mary Elle, Elle talks about the swords as being about kind of a like, I think she says like destroying the ego, or you could see it as being about harnessing the ego, controlling the ego. And nine's been that number of kind of a like completion, of kind of a like getting there and achieving it. This is what happens when you kind of what I was talking about with the idea with the tree. Yeah. It's when you gain the ultimate control over that part of yourself, you know, when it becomes it's not all about you. You gain the ultimate perspective on kind of a like life and the world around about you and stuff like that. Ultimate perspective being what we might be seeing here. So anyway, I don't know why I'm spending so much time talking about the Nine of Swords when it's only one of the cards on the table, but there we go. The question was, how can we get stagnant energy moving again? No, it wasn't. How can get stagnant energy moving again around a career choice? Yeah. So there's one thing to think about. Okay. Think about all of the I mean, maybe it's so far it's stagnant because that mental energy is misfiring. Okay. Maybe it's not been channeled in quite the right way. And maybe there's stuff that you could do to use that in a way that's going to be more productive for you. Okay. So, maybe it's stagnant because the choices that you're looking at so far, they're not turning you on. They're not right for you. Maybe you need to kind of a look at different things, a new challenge, a different challenge. It could be something like that. The three might be coming in there to support that, the three of discs, because you get the idea of just creating something completely new. All right. Something completely new that's not been thought of before, that we've not considered before, has been brought into the equation. So yeah, maybe that's what's needed to kind of bring about to move the water down the lake and then down the waterfall, and eventually up with the tree, transforming. We also with the three we talked about the idea of collaboration, working together with someone else to get to places that you can't get to alone. So maybe the key is in looking for like-minded people or looking for someone who can help you or teach you get to that place. And like that spark again when it comes to your career. Um, we've got two threes as well. So what did I want to say about that? And the nine is three squared. It's three times three. So threes are quite prevalent here. Maybe so far you're just looking at it like two paths. You're thinking, oh, well, it's either this or that. And what this is saying to you is, what's the third path? What's the middle path? What's the other option that you're just not seeing, that you're just not thinking about? Right. Enough from me. Let's see what you guys think about Orla's question. Right. I've seen that. That was Regina accepting saucy little minx. Um, Three of cups, two people. Right. Okay. Cups it is, I think, says Orla. I've noticed that the cards of the week often come up in readings together. Yeah, yeah, they do, don't they? It's probably more like I was saying when I was starting. It's because I have them turned around. Maybe I shouldn't do that, but then it'll take me ages to find them. Um, Simon says, "Hey up, Chris," from Sandra, L, and I. Oh yeah, that's right, because Sandra and L are with Simon. So hey to you three. I hope you are having fun. Donna says, "Hey Simon and company." Marie, have to run. Thanks for letting me sit in. No, thank you for coming and sitting in. It's been an honour. Um, just happened to see it. If you want to email me when there's another, I will try and make it. Absolutely, like 100%. Thank you so much for being here, Marie. It's been really valuable having you here. And just yeah, it's been really nice to meet you. Okay. Okay, we're saying hi to Simon, Elle, and Sandra, and bye to Marie. Okay, Donna, I see the left card as nurturing a new life, and the right as a dream city. So think about what you may have always dreamed of doing, and nurture that dream into being. And then Hilary says, Donna, that's lovely. Yeah, yeah, that is. So nurture a new life and dream city. So think about what you may have always dreamed of doing and nurture that dream into being. Orla says, rather than one thing or the other, look for something entirely new. And yes, collaboration keeps coming up for me, although I have no idea with who. You're very welcome. And remember what we were saying during when we were looking at the slides. Quite often we think about the as above and the so below. So think about the kind of a mundane meaning, but think about or the external meaning, but think about the internal meaning as well. So when we're thinking about collaboration, it could well be talking about collaborating with someone else, but equally, it could be talking about that kind of a internal collaboration that we all need to do. So we need to kind of reconcile our own the different aspects of ourselves. Like the two horses of the chariot, different parts of the soul. Um, there's different. The expression being in two minds about something, for example, there's different. We have different kind of opinions on everything, and I'm not explaining myself very well. Hang on, I need to take a moment. Um, Sometimes we just need to kind of work on ourselves. I think is what I'm trying to say. All right. Sometimes, like we have interest in and maybe one thing and that pulls us in one direction, but then we start thinking, all right, okay, but what about that? I've got responsibility to that, or I need to make sure that I'm there for that, and that pulls us in another direction, and we end up with a situation where we're being pulled in all directions. And sometimes we need to do a bit of work to kind of to rein that in, to reconcile that, to basically come to some sort of what we're saying, some sort of middle path, find that middle path. That's the compromise, in order to actually find the way through. Yeah, seeing things internally as well. Yeah, makes so much sense. Uncannily so. Oh, I'm glad. I'm glad it's meaningful for you. Okay. So with the three streams in the center card, you may be able to combine different aspects of your life into one cohesive, fulfilling whole. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And we see the two towers here, and then obviously the kind of the whole idea of the paradise. Um, the two, the what we call the male and female principle of creation, the male and female principles. And then we see obviously the two outer waterfalls, the pillars, and then the center, the kind of a pillar of mildness. Okay, I think that was an answer to a question that someone had asked. Alrighty, so I've not missed anyone's question, have I? Um, I'm happy to leave it there because I mean we ended up with the three of discs coming up anyway, and we got to read with it. So um, if there's anything that I've missed, or if anyone does have another question, then pop it in just now before I go. Otherwise, we shall leave it there because that's 11 o'clock actually, and that's a nice place to leave it. Donna, so Orla says, Donna, your comment just hit me in the heart. Thank you. Incredibly insightful. Amazing. It's great when we can all kind of come together and help each other out. Okay, I know there's like a 10-second delay, so I'll kind of slowly put my cards away. And we'll see if anyone comes up with something for us. Let me put this in here. Okay. I think that's us done, isn't it? So thank you so much to everyone for being here. I have to say a special thanks to Marie White for being here and for giving us so much of her time as well. Um, I think I actually look really pale. The lighting makes me look incredibly pale, which is a good thing because you would be able to see how much I was blushing otherwise. Um, but yeah, thank you so much to everyone. Thank you for your insights. Thank you for bringing your questions as well. To those of you that did ask a question, I really appreciate it. It really, like I say, I think it really helps, and it's just it feels better. It feels more organic when you're reading for someone rather than just making up a sample question. So that leaves me to say have a great weekend, everyone. I'll hopefully speak to you or see you at some point over the weekend, but have a great time and I shall see you all next time. Bye bye.